I sang at a funeral yesterday for a very close family friend. And she used to go to a church where the women weren't allowed to wear pants, and the women certainly weren't allowed up to the pulpit. And they were all encouraged not to use a certain florist in Eden because gay men run it. And this man and I were on the same stage. And I wasn't there as a minister. I was just there to sing. And, I wasn't wearing no rainbow stuff, so he didn't know me, so he didn't know, And but I sang a song, and again, like I say that, like one of the things I love about metaphysics the most is it allowed me when I was visiting from California, and I only had a certain amount of time to visit with my mom in a year because we lived on opposite ends of the country, that I could go sit in her Baptist church. And now I've learned the metaphysics, so I didn't have to sit there and endure. I actually got the message. So I can do that now. And now this woman, I wasn't there to teach everybody what I think. I was there to honor someone who was important in my family's life who thought more traditionally. So I sang Just a Closer Walk with Thee, and then I sang How Great Thou Art, and I didn't change almost any of the words. And I did when I sang Amazing Grace Graveside, I did say soul instead of wretch. But I hit some of those stuff. And granted, Jesus, that's my plea. And then this man's like, yes, amen. Because I hit him because he felt the spiritual truth. And then, but there was that moment, that ego moment, that I was like, I wonder if he'd say that if he knew really everything about me, right? Who I would be dating if I find a date. And I'm like, I wonder if he'd be saying that then, right? But that was my ego moment, right? So I immediately need to call in some Esther to get some spiritual love to be like, you know what? God bless it. Like this man, I offered something that spiritually lit him up. And so rather than having an ego told you so moment about him, I gave him a moment so that if he were to ever find out more about me, he can't completely think bad about me, because I lit up some God in him yesterday when I sang that song, so much so that he couldn't even be quiet about it. A couple of times, actually. But so anyway, we all have our own things. We all have our own examples. And the ego's going to come up because it's part of us, and that's part of the human experience. But when it does, before we let it take over and gain the power of a Haman that now is then encouraging the king. See, the king was reversible. The king, like I'll get my words out. The ambition was not so good when it was being used with the will, because now it's just about driving forward and doing at all costs to win. But if you took that ambition and you tied it in with some love, which is what Esther did with it, now it was being used for good, and it was being used to just fill the land with the illumined spiritual thoughts, and that land is our minds. So the ambition wasn't bad. It was just not doing good in that current combination, right? And so that's where we can call upon all the Esther that is within us to quiet the Haman that is within all of us and put forward our highest and best and happiest lives that is always available to us all day, every day, all of them.